Yo Gotti's family is once again at the center of a devastating Memphis saga. His brother Anthony, Big Juke Mims, was shot and killed outside a Memphis restaurant on January 13th, 2024, around 4:15 p.m., in broad daylight, while attending a repast following a funeral. What has made the case even more explosive is the street chatter surrounding it. According to what has been widely alleged, the man tied to that shooting later reacted to rumors that a new bounty had been placed on his head, this time in connection to Big Juke's killing. To understand why people believe this violence is part of something much bigger, you have to go back several years. In Memphis, many have long claimed that Big Juke, known not just as Yo Gotti's brother, but as a powerful behind-the-scenes figure in CMG, was deeply involved in street-level decisions connected to the label's world. Prosecutors would later allege that he was the person who put up $100,000 for the murder of Young Dolph, the beloved Memphis rapper who was gunned down on November 17, 2021, inside Makeda's Butter Cookies while in town for community events during Thanksgiving week. That is why so many people are now describing the situation as a brutal full-circle moment. The belief on the streets is that Big Juke's murder was retaliation for Dolph's death. And now, according to the same wave of rumors, the person believed to be responsible for killing Big Juke is allegedly facing a bounty of his own. In other words, people are watching a cycle of bloodshed continue to turn, one violent chapter leading straight into the next. Big Juke was far more than just a family member of a rap superstar. Anthony Mims, who was 47 when he died, was viewed as one of the key figures behind Collective Music Group. While Yo Gotti was a public face, Big Juke was often described as the person who handled matters in the background. He was frequently seen at CMG events, concerts, video shoots, and industry functions. But in Memphis, his reputation extended beyond music. He was seen by many as a man with real influence. And in a city where power and loyalty carry enormous weight, that kind of influence comes with permanent consequences. CMG itself was never seen as only a record label. It became a symbol, a movement, and for some, a territorial statement planted firmly in Memphis culture. But one artist kept refusing to fall in line with that dominance, and that artist was Young Dolph. Long before the violence escalated, the tension reportedly began with business. Yo Gotti wanted Dolph to sign to CMG back in 2014, but Dolph chose to stay independent. He spoke openly about betting on himself and building his own path, making it clear that ownership mattered more to him than joining someone else's empire. That decision did not fade quietly. By early 2016, the friction had gone public. Dolph posted that someone who once wanted to sign him had turned into his biggest hater, a message many believed was aimed squarely at Gotti. Around that same time, Dolph released his debut album under the title King of Memphis, which hit especially hard because that was a title closely associated with Yo Gotti. In Memphis, that was more than music promotion. It was viewed as a challenge. The back and forth quickly spilled into the public eye. Black Youngsta, who was aligned with CMG, started making threats online, and even appeared in South Memphis on video. Dolph, for his part, did not appear intimidated. He responded dismissively and continued moving like someone who had no plans to back down. Then in February 2017, things escalated sharply when Dolph released a diss track that directly mocked Gotti and even used a look-alike in the video. The timing that followed only deepened suspicions. The day after that video dropped, Dolph's bulletproof SUV was hit with more than 100 rounds in Charlotte, North Carolina. A vehicle connected to the shooting was traced back to Black Youngsta, though no conviction came from that case. Then, later that same year in Los Angeles, Dolph was shot multiple times outside the Lowe's Hollywood Hotel. He survived, but barely. A known Gotti associate was arrested near the scene and then released without charges, while Gotti himself denied any involvement, and the case eventually went cold. Even as he survived those attacks, Dolph kept winning. He stayed independent, kept his momentum strong, and continued building paper route empire into a serious force. His career kept rising, and from the outside it looked like the open hostility had cooled. But according to prosecutors, the resentment never went away. Court testimony would later suggest that Big Juke never let go of the perceived disrespect, especially the lyrics and public shots aimed at CMG and its camp. What made the alleged motive even more serious was a claim that it went beyond Dolph alone. Prosecutors said Big Juke had allegedly placed smaller bounties on several people connected to Paper Route Empire, including Key Glock, Paper Route Wu, Snoop Bands, and Big Moochie Grape. If true, that would mean the feud had expanded far beyond two rap stars and into a larger campaign against an entire independent movement Dolph had built on his own. By 2021, Dolph was at one of the highest points of his career. He was successful, wealthy, deeply respected in Memphis, and still known for showing love to his city. His album Rich Slave had performed strongly, and his bond with the community remained powerful. So when Thanksgiving week arrived and he returned home for charitable events, it should have been another moment of hometown celebration. Instead, it became one of the darkest days in recent hip-hop history. According to courtroom testimony, the men accused of carrying out the attack had been waiting for their chance. Cornelius Smith later testified that they knew Dolph would be in Memphis for the week because of his annual turkey giveaway and other appearances. On November 17, 2021, Dolph walked into Makeda's Butter Cookies on Airways Boulevard. He was simply there to buy cookies in his hometown. Smith testified that when he spotted Dolph inside, he jumped out and started firing with a semi-automatic weapon, while Justin Johnson allegedly joined him with a handgun. Dolph's brother fired back from outside and wounded Smith, but it was not enough to save Dolph, who died there just 36 years old. The city was rocked instantly. Memphis mourned, the hip-hop world reeled, and the question everyone asked was simple: who ordered it? Police arrested Justin Johnson, who performed under the name Straight Drop, as well as Cornelius Smith. Hernandez Govan was later charged as an organizer in the alleged conspiracy. But the most dramatic turn came during the trials, when Smith took the stand in September 2024 and said plainly that Big Juke was the man behind the $100,000 hit on Young Dolph. Smith's testimony laid out how the money was allegedly supposed to be split. He claimed that he and Johnson were each promised $40,000, while Govan would take a smaller cut for allegedly helping arrange the operation and provide weapons. Smith also said he received only $800 up front, but testified that after his arrest, cash ranging from roughly $38,000 to $50,000 was funneled through legal channels connected to Big Juke's attorney. He further claimed that after murder, he and Johnson FaceTimed Big Juke to confirm that Dolph was dead. Prosecutors also said Justin Johnson had allegedly been promised not just money, but a CMG record deal as a reward. By the end of 2024, Justin Johnson had been convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. His brother, Jermarcus Johnson, had already pleaded guilty to being an accessory after the fact. Hernandez Govan, however, was acquitted when the jury found the case against him did not meet the required standard. Big Juke never faced any courtroom reckoning of his own, because by the time those proceedings unfolded, he had already been killed. On January 13, 2024, Big Juke was attending a repast at Perignon's restaurant and event center on Winchester Road after relative's funeral. According to police, shooters arrived in a white Ford Explorer with dark tint and black wheels, opened fire, and struck Big Juke as well as another person. He was pronounced dead at the scene. In one of the most heartbreaking details of all, his mother, who had just been at a funeral earlier that day, reportedly had to run for safety when the gunfire erupted. Police said the shooting was targeted, not random, and as of September 2024, no arrests had been announced. One eerie detail only intensified the public reaction. The day before he was killed, Big Juke posted a message on Instagram warning that some people do not confront you directly, they snake you instead, and that staying alert is a key to staying alive. After his death, many saw that post as chilling foreshadowing. It added yet another layer to a story already filled with tension, paranoia, and unfinished business. Street speculation quickly zeroed in on one theory: retaliation for Young Dolph. Nothing has been proven in court about who killed Big Juke or why, but many people have pointed to the timing. Big Juke was allegedly identified as a financier of Dolph's murder, and before those courtroom revelations could fully play out, he was dead in the same city where Dolph had been killed. For many in Memphis, that sequence felt impossible to ignore. Then came the rumor that pushed the story into an even darker place. Word began circulating that Gotti had allegedly placed a bounty on the person believed to be behind Big Juke's murder. Gotti has never publicly confirmed any such thing, and he has remained notably silent on the wider allegations tied to his brother. But the streets were already talking, and social media lit up when a man allegedly linked to Big Juke's killing reportedly responded publicly to the idea that there was now money on his head. That reaction only fueled the belief that this feud is nowhere near over. From the perspective of those following the street politics of Memphis, the logic is brutally simple. If Big Juke allegedly played a role in Dolph's death, then Dolph's people or those loyal to him would eventually seek revenge. And if Big Juke was killed in response, then his side would be expected to answer back. That is the cycle so many people believe they are watching in real time, with each death creating the setup for the next one. Looking at the full timeline, the tragedy becomes even more staggering. A rejected record deal in 2014 allegedly helped ignite years of resentment. Public dices, online threats, shootings, murder, courtroom confessions, and another targeted killing followed. Young Dolph is dead. Big Juke is dead. Justin Johnson is serving a life sentence. Cornelius Smith still faces his own legal future. Multiple families have been shattered, and an entire city has been forced to relive the pain again and again. What makes the story hit even harder is how much bigger it became than music. This was no longer just about rap lyrics, industry rivalry, or pride. It became a war between two powerful Memphis camps, one built on corporate success, and the other on fierce independence. Dolph's refusal to sign, his decision to build paper route empire, and his ability to thrive outside CMG allegedly turned him into more than a competitor. According to the prosecution's theory, it made him a threat, and now the silence surrounding the latest chapter may be the loudest part of all. Yo Gotti has not publicly addressed the allegations that his brother was behind Dolph's murder. He has not spoken on rumors of a retaliatory bounty. Instead, he has continued moving forward with his business empire while Memphis remains consumed by grief, speculation, and fear over what could happen next. In a city where silence often says more than words ever could, that quiet has only kept the tension alive. At the center of all of this is a haunting question. When does the cycle stop? Every turn of the wheel has taken another life, destroyed another family, and pushed Memphis deeper into mourning. Young Dolph was adored for his independence, his generosity, and the pride he poured into his hometown. Big Juke was feared and respected in equal measure. Yo Gotti built one of the most successful rap empires in the game. Yet none of that money, fame, or influence has been enough to stop the bloodshed. This is why the story has stayed so gripping and so disturbing. It is not just about celebrity, music, or street rumors. It is about what happens when business, ego, loyalty, grief, and power collide in a city that never forgets. If the allegations are true, then the killing of Young Dolph set into motion a chain of events that is still unfolding. And if the rumors now flooding Memphis carry any truth at all, then the final chapter has not been written yet.